NBA Today starts right now. Hello and welcome to NBA Today, presented by Credit Karma. It is good to be back. I'm Malika Andrews. A busy weekend in hoops, but the gang is all here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put 24 seconds on the shot clock, and we're going to start with the birthday girl, Janae Agumake. Janae, in 24 seconds, starting with you, please tell me what the biggest weekend storyline was. What you got?
It has to start with the team with the greatest expectations, especially after the trade deadline, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. They've been 4-4 in their last 8 games, and they had the third worst offense in that span of 8 games. So you're looking, all right, James Harden is supposed to be that offensive boost. Things are supposed to get easier. Well, it's actually been a difficulty when it comes to chemistry and, acclimating him as of late. I made it.
Oh, yeah.
No buzzer.
No buzzer.
Hey.
See? You got it. Thank you, Janae. And there it is. All right, so the East, it is certainly heating up. The Sixers, they fell to number 3 on Sunday. The Celtics, they have surged all the way up to number 4. So, Richard Jefferson, 24 seconds on the shot clock. What's your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
My guy, Evan Mobley, Rookie of the Year. He had his 20th double-double. And watch this play right here. This is when they needed it most. We didn't get the second part of this, but he goes big time in Jared Allen's absence. He has a double-double. He has 11. He has 12 rebounds. He has 6 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. Those numbers are huge for a rookie, especially because they don't want to drop to that outside of that 6, so every win is even more important.
Look at you, everyone making their time today. I'm sensing a little Eastern Conference theme here. The Cavs, they're currently the 6th seed in the East, and Evan Mobley, he does have the best odds to win Rookie of the Year. That's according to Caesars Sportsbook. And I know Richard likes J.B. Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year. So let's bring in Big Perk. Kendrick, 24 seconds to you now. What is your biggest weekend storyline?
The Boston Celtics and the play of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Look, when you look at this team, they've been the best defensive team since January. But Jason Tatum has taken a leap. I think he's passed DeMar DeRozan in the MVP conversation the way that he's playing. Right now, the Celtics are hitting their stride when it matters the most and playing at a peak level. Guys know their role. We're watching Rob Williams, Grant Williams, and Marcus Smart. Of course, I wasn't going to beat the buzzer. I talked too slow, but I'm going with the Celtics.
I was going to say TikTok. That's like 29 seconds. Thank you, Big Perk. I do want to say, though, all of our panel's biggest storylines, they were all in the East. So let's take a look at the East standings. You can see there the Heat. They're 3 games up in first place, but then it gets tight. So the Bucks, the Sixers, the Celtics, they're all separated by just half a game. And the Cavs, they're only a game ahead of the Raptors for the 6th spot to avoid the play-in. Now, the Nets, they are firmly in play, or the play-in, but Kevin Durant, he doesn't think their championship window is closing anytime soon.
I'm not guaranteeing that we got a championship, but I just like what we building, and I'm not gonna say this is the only year we have an opportunity to fight and work towards something. I don't think next year we got to start all the way over and try to figure out what's the next iteration of the Nets. I feel like we could just build on what we have and see what happens. And we got guys that are committed and want to be here, so that's how I look at it.
Man, I'm so happy because the band is back together to break this down. All right, Janae, I'm going to start with you. Who is the best team in the East right now? And more importantly, what do they need to do to stay that way?
I heard you, Perk. That's the way we start our Monday, with that kind of energy. The best team in the East right now, and I always say it's the team with the fewest questions and the most answers, and I really like the Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks have been consistent just because they have their big 3 available, and we know their record is always spectacular when they play. And mind you, Chris Middleton has really upped his play, especially this past month, averaging 25 points per game. A lot of people said he need to step up if they want to repeat. He's doing exactly that. Giannis, in the MVP conversation, rightfully so. And you just look overall, this team has a lot of answers, no questions, and they just seem like they've consistently put themselves in good playoff position.
Right. The question, was when is Brook Lopez going to come back? How is he going to assimilate? Can they get Pat Connaughton healthy? Could they get George Hill healthy? And all of those answers are kind of starting to come together at the right time. But Richard, sometimes it's the same team that's the best and the hardest to game plan for. Sometimes it's a different team that's also the best and hardest to game plan for, which is important in the playoffs. So when you're looking at this, what do you think?
Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. She is amazing at her transitions because she knows it's going to be the exact same team for me. It's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. and for all the reasons that she just said. She just talked about how, getting Brooke Lopez back, who was a huge piece, but also they have Serge Ibaka. They went and got a great backup, so now you have depth at that position because Brooke Lopez. But for me, when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they are the team with the fewest amount of questions. They are the team that has been the best team in the league over the last 5 seasons. The best record, the best playoff performance. They have been the best. Now, do they have questions? A little bit about can they repeat and do it? But they are the most disrespected defending champions in a while.
Ooh, all right, Big Perk.
Well, nobody's disrespecting them, but both of y'all are wrong. And look,
as you disrespect them.
The Boston Celtics. Listen, the Boston Celtics, not only have they been the best team in the East, but one could argue that they have been the best team in the NBA. Look, Jason Tatum has taken that leap to superstardom. Like we have said, he was on the verge, but he's there. Jaylen Brown finally looks healthy. But let's talk. But let's talk about the others. Marcus Smart has embraced the role of actually being a facilitator. I love him being at the point guard spot. Robert Williams is a top 10 center in the league. He gives you everything that you want in a starting center. He can switch 1 through 5. He's a live threat at the basket. And let's talk about Grant Williams, who, by the way, kind of locked up a MVP front runner last night in Denver, and Jokic. I mean, he locked them up. So when I look at it, they have Daniel Tice coming off the bench. They got rid of Dennis Schroeder, who was being a headache in the locker room, and right now they're the best defensive team in the league. Even when Steph Curry got hurt, when the Celtics played the Warriors, the Celtics still had full control of that game. Why? Because they have perimeter guys that could play defense at any level, and they could guard anybody in the league, and they get buckets.
Well, there you go. We're going to dive into the Celtics much more, so Perk, don't go anywhere. But no one picked either Philadelphia or the #1 seed in the East right now, the Miami Heat. So joining us now is senior writer Ramona Shelburne. There's a big matchup tonight between those two teams. So what can you tell us about Joel Embiid's status for that game?
Well, Joel Embiid has been downgraded to out for tonight's game.
No Joel.
All right, this is the second night of a back-to-back. He's had that lingering back soreness for 4 or 5 games. So it was, second night of a back-to-back. He could sit the front end of the back end. He played last night. Didn't look that great. He was really sore. So they're going to sit him tonight against the Heat. They come out west. They play the Lakers and the Clippers this week in LA. And I think the sense is they've got to give him a night off.
There you go. So what are you going to be watching for today in this game then?
Well, honestly, to see if there's some kind of energy. At the start of the year, we were really excited about the Sixers, even though, a lot of the conversation was who they didn't have or how their development was going. But now, you sort of wonder, this is the hardest point of the year for playoff teams. How do you build that momentum moving forward without Joel Embiid, who a lot of people consider a front runner for MVP? It's going to be interesting to see who really steps up in this one.
Well, but can you judge when you're talking about the Miami Heat? There are so many folks who say, well, they're the #1 seed, but we'll see when it gets to the playoffs, that sort of chatter. Richard, what are you looking for from them tonight?
Well, just a level of consistency. The Miami Heat are always a consistent team. It's just a matter of making sure that everyone is healthy, having Kyle Lowry out there, having Jimmy Butler out there, having everybody, and starting to build a rhythm. Now, these guys are familiar with the organization, so it's not like if they miss 5 games, they won't understand their roles. But, yes, the Miami Heat are a force. I think last year they took a step back because of COVID and everybody. They just had a tough year. But this is more likely who they are going to be. This is who they are. Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year. We already know that that's sewn up. But it just shows the level of jump that the organization has made from that year in the bubble going to the finals, then last year kind of struggling, but being back on the mountaintop this year.
Well, I was just down in Miami, and Bam Adebayo wanted us to start the Bam as Defensive Player of the Year. That's something that he is lobbying hard for.
A lot of people are.
Yeah, I know. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the show because still ahead on NBA Today, we are going to dive